Hi there, I'm Gina Gardiner, and this is day 16 of a 30-day challenge. I'd like to introduce myself for those who don't know me. I'm an international best-selling author, I'm an empowerment and relationship coach, and I work strategically with businesses, working with the decision makers and then coaching and training around the development of leadership, individuals, teams, and whole organizations. At the heart of everything I do is empowerment. This is day 16, as I say, of a 30-day challenge. And part of that is around letting you know what I'm up to. And another part of that, by doing things consistently for 30 days, is to help me manage something which is a new thing for me to do, or relatively new. My theme today is, do you embrace change? Do you actually seek out the opportunity to develop and grow? Or do you always stay in the safe zone, and when there is a change coming, that you go kicking and screaming and do everything you can to avoid change? For me, there are three constants in life. Hi, Anne. Nice that you've joined me. Thank you very much. Three constants. Death, because that's something that's going to happen to all of us. Taxes, because the government want their bit of money. And change. And whatever we do, there is no way to avoid change. From the moment you're born to the moment you die, you're going through a process of change. You just think of the physical changes that happen as a baby, learning to walk, talk, feed yourself. And then as you grow and you learn new things, new skills, as puberty comes, the body changes, and there's so much going on in terms of hormones and managing that. And then you reach your peak, women may have babies, then middle age comes, things start to happen. I have to say, gravity has its wicked way. And then as you get older, so the body changes again, you look in the mirror and you think, I feel about 25 in my head. I don't look 25 in the mirror anymore. And so we have to deal with the physical changes that life brings. Those changes can come for all sorts of reasons. I fell down a mountain and my life changed dramatically. I've learnt to walk twice as an adult. Each time I became wheelchair bound, I had to deal with change. So if you look at your physical life, you have to deal with change, whether that's because you're simply maturing and getting older, or because of illness, or because of disability. We are consistently having to deal with change. Your body is changing all the time. Cells are growing, your nails grow, your hair grow, and they say that the whole of your body within a very short space of time is completely new. But I don't think for most of us, well, perhaps the aging process and dealing with being a teenager has its real challenges, but I suspect that for most of us, the challenges come around our emotional changes, how we deal with stuff, and whether we're prepared to let things go and move on, and allow our lives to change because emotionally we've done things in a very different way. And ahead of my list for that would be around forgiving ourselves and others, because that can create the most incredible change in our lives. And yet many people are very fearful of letting go of the hurt, because if they do, in some way that it means that they have condoned what went on, or that they feel that they would have to forget it. And those of you who listen to me talk about forgiveness know that I don't believe that forgiveness is anything about forgetting or condoning, but it's making sure you let go. But what I want to talk about tonight is how we embrace change in terms of the way in which we behave, the way in which we have to operate with others, both in the home environment and personal life, and also at work. Every opportunity that comes our way gives us a choice, and that choice is, are we going to stay in our comfort zone and do what we've always done, do what feels comfortable, or are we prepared to step out of our comfort zone and do something different. Well, these Facebook Lives are a really good example of that. I'm feeling more comfortable now than I did when I first started them. And I started them a little while ago, but I'd resist doing them because, well, maybe I hadn't got my makeup right or my hair didn't look good. Well, you know, what would people think of how I looked? Would they, that colour, whether they were prepared to listen to what I had to say? And I think for many of us, we worry about what will other people think about us. And actually, most of the time, the biggest critic is not other people, it's us. And so I undertook to do this 30-day challenge, because if you do something consistently for 30 days, then you create a new neural pathway in the brain. It becomes more habitual. And I wanted to be able to talk to you, just me, talk to you, and do that without all of the makeup and the cameras and the lights and all of those things, that this is just a conversation, honest conversation between you and me. You're seeing the genuine thing. You're seeing me as I am. And one of the things that for me is so important is for us each to embrace those things which perhaps hitherto we have been fearful about, that we are prepared to step outside our comfort zone. And I walk my talk. It's no good me telling you to do it if I'm not prepared to do it. Since I started Genuinely You and the Thrive Tribe, I have been so far out of my comfort zone, I can't tell you. Not only with the technology, but actually standing in front of a camera and talking and creating the videos, doing things that actually are very new to me. And I'm 65, so you know they say that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I don't think that's true. They've also discovered that they thought that the brain would stop its capacity to learn, and that it would get more and more difficult. As soon as we got to 21, the brain cells would start to die off. They now know that that's completely wrong, and that the neuroplasticity, our capacity to learn, continues so long as we use it. So learning new things isn't only good because then you get to the impact of whatever it is you're learning, but actually it keeps you young. And that if you want to stay young and if you want to stave off dementia and those things, that social interaction and learning new things can make a very significant difference. So, do you embrace or do you fear and avoid? What's your habitual way of dealing with change? Now, when I'm teaching leadership, I talk to the people I'm teaching about the continuum in terms of what drives us. Are we somebody who's driven by avoiding pain, or somebody who is driven to achieve pleasure? And although people are I don't think people can be absolute in the middle. Some people are quite in the middle of that. You'll have people who are polarized and will do anything to avoid getting into trouble, to be found wanting. Pain in the sense of physical, emotional, spiritual pain, literally getting into trouble and being found that they are not enough. And for many people, that is a huge, huge reason why they do things. Others are much more motivated about what they're going to achieve, gain. They're looking for success. They're target driven. Now, there's nothing good about one or the other. They are just different. But knowing yourself is, I think, really important. One of the ways that I get people to think about this is, how do you feel about having a surprise party? And some people go pale and shudder and think, God, no, my idea of hell. And other people think, yeah, that would be really exciting. I'd love that. And there are some who think, well, I'd like a surprise party, but with a bit of notice, so I've got a chance to make sure I've got the right outfit and have my hair done. And there are those people who they don't want a surprise. Then you know that those are people who need certainty. They need to know what's going to happen, and they will avoid change. They will look for ways to not trying new things because they're fearful that they might fail or that they won't like it or that they'll look a fool, any number of reasons. So I want you to think about, when was the last time that you put yourself in a situation where you voluntarily tried something that you hadn't tried before? And how did that make you feel? So for me, this last couple of years, I would say the vast majority of the new things that I've tried have been around either utilizing technology or using technology. And for a lot of that, I've talked to people and I've worked with people who are much, much better at using it than me. And where I can, I've got other people to actually do some of that, partly because there isn't time for me to do all of the things that I'm attempting to do. But I have had to get to grips with a lot of the technology. And it has been incredibly uncomfortable at times. So when I did a webinar a few months ago, and I'll just share with you the challenges that came out of that webinar, because I think it indicates that you've got to be fairly determined sometimes to get through the rubbish, the crap that happens along the way. So there was a webinar planned. It was about the Thrive Tribe. And the way it works is 2 or 3 minutes of me introducing it, and then it goes on to a PowerPoint and an audio of me talking. I work with somebody called Rachel, who is great, and she does a lot of the, helps me with the technology. And she was helping me with the platform that we were using. And the webinar had within the PowerPoint a number of videos embedded, which were testimonials, which were really lovely. You can see them on the website. But, I'm very thrilled with the way people have acknowledged the impact of the work that we've done. Super. So Rachel arrived on Monday, and we started to just go through it. Everything should have been ready. It should have taken us about an hour. But the whole thing kept falling apart every time we got to the videos, and there were 3 or 4 videos, just little clips, but it wouldn't work. 4 hours later, it still wouldn't work. So Rachel's husband is very technically minded. So Rachel went off and said, I'll talk to him. And the next day she came back and we tried the things that had been suggested. Still didn't work. On the Wednesday, very kindly, Rachel's husband, Steve, came and he looked at it and said, well, actually, it's no wonder it won't work. Actually, your computer's not powerful enough and you need to use an Ethernet cable rather than just the wireless. And for those that don't know, and I didn't know, the Ethernet cable is the name of the cable that goes from your router for the internet straight into your machine, rather than using wireless, because it's a more steady signal. So here we are on Wednesday, and I rang around and I couldn't get the connector, the right connector for the Ethernet to go into my Mac. And so on Wednesday afternoon, I made the decision, let's cut out the videos, we'll do it without the videos. By this time, I've spent 12, 14 hours time on it. I have to tell you, my frustration levels were high. On the Thursday, we had a run through in the morning. It went perfectly. We set up the webinar, 7:30, there were lots of people on it. Rachel got it started, everything was going well, and then the messages started to come in. Some people could see and not hear. Some could hear and not see. Some people could neither see nor hear, and some people could hear and see perfectly. And whatever we did, we couldn't make it work. So I also work with a guy called John in Australia who does a lot of the setting the big technical stuff up. And he said, there's nothing there I can use. You're going to have to video it again. I'll come in with you, I'll get you started, because by this time Rachel had gone. And so I did my little introduction. And as it went into the PowerPoint, John, who'd been sharing, doing a team viewer thing, disappeared. So I did my webinar. They aren't short, because by the time you've done that and answered all the questions and stuff. So I don't start talking to John because he's in Australia and I'm in the UK. I don't start talking to him till midnight. So by the time I finish, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. And I uploaded it, and then I got a call a few minutes later to say, there's only the 3 minutes at the beginning. What's going on? But you've got to do it. I need the replay for tomorrow. So by this time, we're talking about 2:20. I had to record it for a third time. And finally, it worked. Now, a lot of learning went on that night. We're using a very different platform. We are organising the technology itself very differently. And although that night was incredibly frustrating, I'm now much more confident about if things go wrong, they go wrong. I'll put everything I can in place to make them work, but if they go wrong, what can I learn? Now, does that mean that I don't get frustrated with it? No, of course it doesn't. But does it mean I'm prepared to overcome that in order to get the impact that I want? Yes, I am. I'd love to know, what are the things that you have tried and found frustrating? What are the new things that you've tried recently? And what have you gained from it? And to let me know those things that actually have given you the biggest buzz. Now, why am I doing all of this? Why am I putting myself through all of this? And why am I suggesting that you actually embrace change in a very different way? Well, my mission is to actually support and help people to step into their power. And I'd like to positively impact on 1 million people within the next 5 years. And I'd love your help because I can't do it on my own. So please share the videos. Please go to Genuinely You, the group page, and like it and ask to join the group. And spread the word, because this is about how together we can support and help empower one another. Because one person's skill base, one person's expertise will be somebody else's area of development and weakness. And together we can make a difference. Together we can actually support, encourage, challenge, and celebrate together so that we actually move forward. Happiness, success, and fulfillment actually comes from wanting things to be different and being prepared to take action to make the changes that need to be embraced in order to get there. So if you're avoiding change, you're going to stay stuck. The old saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. But if you're prepared to embrace change and do it in small incremental chunks, then you can make an enormous difference. And the Thrive Tribe is absolutely there to help, and you can give it a try for $1. You'll find the link on this Facebook Live. So thanks very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in other Facebook Lives. Let me know the themes that you'd like covered, and if you've got any questions, I'd love to hear them. Take care, and if you haven't tried something new in the last few days, my challenge to you is to give something new a go. Why not make it the Thrive Tribe, or read Thriving Not Surviving, the 5 Secret Pathways to Happiness, Success and Fulfillment. For now, take care. Bye now.